What is a disease we will have the cure to within 50 years? Supposedly, they're working on trials for autoimmune diseases, which I think potentially covers stuff from type 1 diabetes to a bunch of nasty degenerative conditions. It's supposed to target select things an immune system may be attacking that it shouldn't without turning off all your other immune responses. From what I remember, they're very much in the early stages. But it's one of those where, if it works, it's likely a lifesaver for millions and a quality of life improvement for millions more. Hopefully type 1 diabetes. Daughter was diagnosed in September and my heart breaks for her with every shot I give her. No child should have to shoulder the weight of a lifelong disease. It makes me mad when DRS say that doing this or that will take something off my plate. I always tell them to give me all the plates and the china cabinet because no child should even have cutlery to worry about. Alzheimer's would be a massive thing to get rid of. All the rest are bad mostly for the individual experiencing the disease. LF. Having the families have to go through this with them. Seeing the hate and confusion constantly growing from someone that used to love them so much. Must be a fucking heartbreaking experience. Lots of people have locations on their bodies that are colonized with pathogens. This phenomena is increasing in prevalence. It might cause issues in the future, especially as they age and their immune systems and metabolism slow down. We will start to have half or more of the population who are basically lumps of ooze spreading biofilm-protected supergerms everywhere they go. OPA treatment of microbial imbalances in the gut. Every single person has a unique microbiome, so a probiotic supplement or protocol that works for one person and have detrimental effects for another. In 50 years, we'll have a much more personalized and effective treatment for dysbiosis and the underlying causes of IBS and GERD. Based on the way women have been minimized and forgotten for the last 100 years of medicine, I'm gonna guess prostate cancer, or, to be hopeful, something that helps men more, but still helps us all. But the majority of testing will still be on men and dose size for men. So whatever the cure is, it will do more damage and have more side effects for women. Epilepsy. There is a clinical trial going on that will test putting a special kind of embryonic brain cells into the brain of someone with epilepsy. Basically, it calms the part of the brain that causes seizures and is much less invasive than current surgeries. This kind of treatment could be used for many other brain conditions too. There are so many diseases I would love to see cured before my time on this earth is up. Cancer. Diabetes. I really wish there would be some cure for dementia. Seeing my father as he is in long-term care. And of course anyone in the world who suffers from this. It just breaks my heart. But realistically I know. Dementia or Alzheimer's. Of the most horrific things to watch someone endure. We are going through a really interesting medical phenomenon now where we've figured out how to keep our bodies alive for longer, but not our minds. We can live till 90,100, but our minds are breaking down at 70. So many people already said the most important ones. The serious, life-threatening diseases. Let me say I hope we learn more about skin diseases as well. So many of them are labeled as dermatitis and anti-inflammatory steroids are given as a remedy for the symptoms. But what is the root cause? As a type 1 diabetic, I've been hearing a cure is 5 years away for most of my life. So much so that it is a joke at this point. However, I am still hopeful as they've got a lot of impressive research happening right now. I could easily see it happening within 50, but possibly much sooner. HIV doesn't have a cure or vaccine yet. But I'm so hopeful. As a Gen Xer, I can remember when it first started, all the fear and those who were dying. Then, to see people now living with undetectable viral loads, it brings tears to my eyes. I know it isn't a cure yet, but I am so hopeful. Well, vaccines, I genuinely think we might see the eradication of all flavivirus infections in a good deal of the world by 2050, and that includes things like yellow fever, dengue fever, Zika fever, etc. At least one type of cancer, possibly multiple cancer, is weird. Every type needs to be fought differently, and solutions that work in a lab don't always work in a person. All the news around research convinced me that more people with cancer will survive it in 50 years than do now. Hopefully vitiligo. I have it, and even though it's not as noticeable on me since I'm white, and it's not life-threatening, it's still a blow to my self-esteem. I'm really pale and I can't tan. Also, I'm more at risk of skin cancer since my body doesn't produce any melanin. My university professors seem hopeful about HIV and Alzheimer's. I wish I could say cancer, but it's such a complicated group of diseases that it is gonna be hard to cure all at once. I think at least some forms of cancer will have some effective treatment cure though. Cystic fibrosis has gone from deadly to an annoying chronic illness in my lifetime. One of my brother's friends is the only kid with CF his age still alive in the state, and my cousin's kid wears the beta vest while he smokes pot and plays PS for as his therapy. Why? With as much as everything is changing, and as fast as that change is accelerating, I feel like 100 years from now we'll either be living in a disease-free utopia with a freshly purified environment. We'll have killed ourselves off in the meantime. What scares me is that there are diseases we've nearly eradicated like measles that are making a comeback because of stupidity. I suppose if we eradicate other diseases, somebody will decide that vax bad, CRISPR bad, science bad, and put us back to square one. Slightly off topic as it isn't a cure, but for the vast majority of cystic fibrosis patients, the improvement with recent achievements in CFTR modulator therapy, i.e. elexacaftor, tezacaftor, ivacaftor, is quite astounding, rendering CF far less intimidating. And make these cures accessible. Obviously making the cure is the first step, but we're ignoring the crucial next steps, which are making it actually accessible and affordable for those who need it most. Cure all diseases at the genetic level and remove them completely. And if nanotechnology is as promising as it hopes to be, keep them gone. If we were a lot less dumb and put as much into health sciences as we do war, it could happen even sooner. Most genetic illnesses, CRISPR ability is advancing at a mind-blowing pace. Cystic fibrosis and sickle cell are as good as corn. In 50 years, I don't think it's even a doubt that babies will no longer be born with genetic diseases. Happening and have happened to see if stem cell therapy is able to cure or drastically improve COPD. This is an extremely exciting possibility, and maybe a possible treatment in just a handful of years. I always wondered if you could control cancer. Wouldn't that be basic immortality? Cancer kills because it spreads uncontrollably. It doesn't die. So if you could turn it off and on, you could replace any cell forever. Even if we could get a cure for just lung cancer or just colon cancer, it would be massive. It would free up so much money and so many resources that it would dramatically accelerate cures of all other cancers. Ha 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 ha. Cure. There's no money in cures. There will only be treatments, and the treatments will have side effects. And there will be treatments for those, and so on and so on. And it will all cost lots of money. Oh my god, AI are going to have viruses. Imagine your personal assistant AI gets a virus where it starts negging you, but it knows more about you than you, so you can't really figure out that it's gaslighting. Apparently they're trying out artificial pancreases in the UK. So I'm feeling very hopeful about type 1 diabetes. Then again, they've been telling us the cure is 5 years away, so long it's become a running joke. So many if we could get the stem cell research ban lifted. But the progress being made on motor paralysis is very promising. In the next 50 years it will either be cured biologically or with cybernetics. I believe we already have the cure for cancer, but it was bought up by Big Pharma and buried. That will be discovered in the next decade and then finally released to the public, but for a massive cost. True cures are so rare that I'd be surprised that we won't have any new cures. We may have some better ways to mitigate or technology to help make living with it better, but cures are extremely rare. T2 and T1 diabetes will help me immensely, But then I wonder if pharma medicine really cares. If all the diabetics were cured, well, there would go a huge cash cow, wouldn't it? While not so much a disease per se as a natural byproduct of aging, that reduction in telomere shortening, potentially leading to a longer period of time spent within a younger phase of life. This is not a cure, but there have been trials done which involve adding electronic stimulants that go from a person's brain to their extremities to dramatically reduce the effects of paralysis. There is some good research both in dementia and certain cancers. Why they might not find outright cure for either of them. It's promising enough that they can limit the damage they can do, the profiteering by the pharmaceutical companies. I suspect that no cures will ever be found, since curing someone or some disease means losing out on revenue for medicinal sales. Hopefully short-term memory loss. 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 None. There's no money to be made in the cure. Only repeated treatments that cost thousands, then rebranded whenever the patent is ready to run out, so they can keep it brand name. I hope diabetes and Alzheimer's. With my family history, these are two time bombs just waiting to go off. I have some control over the diabetes, but Alzheimer's terrifies me.